Good afternoon, friends. My name is Pulak Bhattacharjee from BSc Institute. I have been asked to give you a broad overview of two very exciting new courses which we are planning to introduce in AMITY, in association with AMITY. Now, before I give you a broad overview of the course, I thought let me just tell you a little bit about Bombay Stock Exchange. I am sure a lot of you must have heard about Bombay Stock Exchange before today, but many of you perhaps would not know that Bombay Stock Exchange is the oldest stock exchange not only in India but also in Asia. It is a 142-year-old company and it has stood the test of time for so many years despite a lot of ups and downs. In fact, despite having the maximum number of stocks listed in the exchange, its transaction speed is the fastest in the world. So that itself is a huge achievement, a technological breakthrough, in fact a technological wonder, which exchanges from all over the world come to Bombay Stock Exchange to find out what is the reason that despite having the maximum number of stocks listed with the exchange, despite that the transaction speed is as fast as 6 microseconds. So just to give you a perspective, what is a microsecond? 1 microsecond is 1/1,000,000th of a second. So one transaction in Bombay Stock Exchange takes place in 1/1,000,000th of a second. So this is sort of the technological development that has taken place in the 142 years of its existence. We started off 142 years ago. In fact, 5 Gujarati brokers started this exchange sitting under a banyan tree. So since then Bombay Stock Exchange has come a long way. Now the Bombay Stock Exchange Institute, which is a 100% subsidiary of Bombay Stock Exchange, was started with the primary reason to propagate the knowledge that we have earned over these 142 years, the knowledge about finance market, global financial market, about capital market. So to propagate that knowledge not only amongst the employees of the exchange but also amongst students like you who would otherwise would not have benefited because the knowledge would have remained within us. So we had about 2 years ago, in fact the exact date is September 11, 2015, almost 2 years ago, when we tied up with AMITY University to start this online MBA program with specialization in global financial markets. Now, why do you need to do a program MBA with a specialization in global financial markets, you might ask. Now, today is the age of specialization. Generic MBAs absolutely have no value. When I had done my MBA about 30 years ago, that time MBAs were few and far between. Now if you throw a stone, probably it will land on a guy who is either pursuing an MBA or he has completed an MBA. So in this crowded market, if you have to differentiate yourself, if you have to be one up on the other person, you must do a course that differentiates you from the rest of the crowd. And in today's day of globalization, when countries are seamlessly, I mean the borders have become seamless and trade happens seamlessly across countries, there is a need of global financial managers. So, and this global financial system as a whole is a sort of an ecosystem which facilitates international flow of financial capital for purposes of investment and trade financing. So there is a great need for trained finance managers who are familiar with international markets, they are familiar with the flow of capital, they are familiar with the rules and regulations that prevails, and also the different cultures that exist in different countries of the world. So if you have to have this specialized knowledge, then obviously if you need to do a course which helps you to specialize in global financial markets. Now the biggest problem I think facing the world is the lack of good global finance managers. This was told by Alan Greenspan about 10 years ago, but the problem still persists. Internationally, there are finance managers, but people with a global perspective, that's missing, and there is a huge demand and dearth in supply. And so we sat down, BSc Institute and AMITY, we sat down and designed a course which helps to fill this gap. In fact, global financial markets are all set to expand in the days to come, and obviously there is going to be a huge demand for professionals like yourselves, and if you are able to take advantage of this demand, then I am sure your career will start going north and you will probably reach somewhere in life. So I guess my main focus or my main purpose of telling you about or the background or giving you the background about this particular course on global financial management is to give you a macroeconomic view of what is required by the industry. India happens to be one of the fastest growing economies in the world today, and companies all over the world are looking to come to India in the near future, and when they come, they will need managers with a global perspective. They are not looking for managers who only have knowledge of the local market. They are looking for managers who have a global perspective, whether that particular person they can source locally or whether they will have to import it from other countries. That is their lookout. But I feel that I think you should be prepared by equipping yourself with a degree which gives you that global perspective and gives you the knowledge and the skills which are required by international players when they finally come to India. Now, what do you need to become a global financial manager? So first of all, you need to know the economics of financial markets. You should know what is a debt market, differentiate between an equity market, debt market, or a foreign exchange market. You should know the regulatory framework within which these markets operate. You should know how to do financial valuations and how to do financial modeling. You should know how to raise private equity or how to raise venture capital. You should know portfolio management services, what are the various portfolio management and how to manage a portfolio. And of course, you should know the cultural differences in the behavior of people from different countries. So that will give you that edge which you need in order to become an international or a global finance manager. The program that we have designed, it covers the breadth of knowledge in the global financial market. The curriculum is cutting edge with industry immersion, and it helps you to get employability in key areas like banks, investment banks, both investment as well as commercial banks, brokerage houses, asset management companies, fund management, debt market, capital market, mergers and acquisitions, analysis and research. So if these are the areas of your interest, then I think you should have a look at this program. which is called MBA with specialization in global financial market, where we have adopted a four-pronged approach. So, in order to make you competent, we have adopted a four-pronged approach. So, we have focused on knowledge, we have focused on skills, and we have focused on attitude. So, from the knowledge perspective, we will try to give you a good understanding of the financial market and the products that they deal with. In terms of skills, we will try to help you develop an analytical and practical oriented it will help you to become analytical and practical oriented. And in terms of attitude, we will try to give you that professional behavior that is expected from a global financial manager. So, what the course is a combination of all these three things, and hopefully by the end of this course you will be able to assimilate all the knowledge, skills and attitude which I have just talked about, and be able to develop into a skilled global financial manager. So, if we go into the details of the curriculum, you will find that semester 1 and 2 gives you a broad overview of various aspects of management. So, in semester 1 we are talking about management functions, various management functions and behavior. Then will introduce you to the macro and microeconomic environment which managers must be acquainted with. Obviously, today is the day of information technology, so it will be incomplete if managers are not familiar with information technology. So, there is a topic called information technology for managers. Then statistics is a very important tool which every manager should have. So, quantitative techniques in management is something which we are going to also have, and then of course, the basic accounting tools that are required for managers. So, semester 1 basically gives you the basic grounding on which the course will finally develop. Semester 2 takes you to the other side of the people's side of management. So, human resource management is a tool which every manager must have, because at the end of the day you will be dealing with people. So, you need to have the skills of how to extract the best out of your employees. Then the second skill that every manager must have is the marketing skill, because whether you are talking about a CEO at the top or a salesperson at the bottom of the pyramid, each and every person must have very good marketing and sales skills. So, that is something which we will try to hone through this particular subject. Then finance forms the core of this curriculum, and therefore, a basic course on financial management has also been introduced, and the regulation or the legal environment within which you will have to deal is covered under legal aspects of business. And finally, there is a very innovative course or a very innovative chapter which we have introduced, is called research methodology. So, this particular subject will tell you how to conduct a research when you are doing a customer survey. That time it is important to know the research methodology on the basis of which the surveys are conducted, or if you are doing or if your company is a research oriented company, you need to know what are the various types of research methodology and how to apply those methodology in your day to day life. So, semester 1 and 2 by and large gives you a broad based framework on the basis of which you finally go on to semester 3, which talks about the specialization areas. So, one of the subjects that we are going to introduce is capital market, because the course is about global financial market, and therefore, capital market is a key segment of that particular sector. Then without knowing equity and derivatives, your knowledge will be absolutely incomplete. That again forms one of the core areas of your specialization. So there will be exhaustive coverage of the equity and derivatives, derivative instrument and the equity and derivative market. Then mutual funds is another topic which we will cover in great deal and great depths. Asset management and portfolio management are some tools which a global financial manager must have. And then of course at the end of semester 3 we will give you a project, and we will ask you to apply the skills that you have learned in semester 1 and 2 and 3 into that particular project. So, so this will help you to apply the knowledge, and it will just not remain theoretical. So the problem with people today, or problem with employees today, is that they carry degree, and the degrees they have gathered had very little practical application, and therefore it's of no use to the company which is hiring that particular candidate, and the candidate has to go through a refresher course or has to go through another series of training. So in order to avoid that, we have incorporated certain things within the curriculum itself, so that more than the theory you are able to apply the theory. The application part has been emphasized in this particular course. Semester 4 goes into the super specialization areas. So we talk about what is a merger, what is an acquisition, what is the impact of mergers and acquisition in balance sheet, profit and loss and cash flow statements of the two companies as well as the merged entity. So that is something which a global financial manager must know and must learn. And then a very integral part of this course, and once again it's a super specialized area, it's called treasury and risk management. Now obviously in the international market there is a high level of risk attached to foreign exchange as well as the international global risks. So that is something which every global manager must be familiar with, and that is something which we cover in great depth and great detail. And we talk about things like currency derivatives, forex market instruments which are used to hedge risks. So those are things which will be covered. And then finally at the end of semester 4 there once again will be a project work which will test your application skills, which will test you as to how much you have learned so that you can apply it in real practice. So the sum and substance of this particular syllabus is that it is going to be application and practical oriented as against theory. And the best part is that the subject has been designed by people from the industry. The course curriculum has been designed by the people from the industry. It will be taught by people from the industry. So you will not get theoretical or bookish knowledge, you will get knowledge which actually are utilized by the people, because it will come from the people themselves. The people who are practicing these skills will be taking these subjects. We have also, during our discussion, we found that while a lot of people would like to do the complete MBA program, but either due to paucity of time or due to paucity of funds, they might not be able to do the full MBA. So for them we have kept a smaller course which is called the postgraduate diploma in global financial market. So that is just a 1-year program, 2 semesters, and semester 1 will comprise of 4 topics. So management functions and behavior, capital market, equity and derivatives, and mutual funds and asset management. So that would be covered under semester 1, and semester 2 would talk about mergers and acquisitions, treasury and risk management, forex market and currency derivatives, and project work. Now The advantage of doing a postgraduate diploma in global financial market is that if you are short of time, or if you are short of funds, or if you are unsure whether you want the complete MBA program, so you can do the postgraduate diploma in global financial market, and which has an inbuilt flexibility that in the event that you want to continue the MBA program, then the credits are added to the MBA program. So you won't have to do this course again. So you can upgrade yourself from a postgraduate diploma in global financial markets to an MBA. So we've got two programs for people with different needs, but both the programs can culminate into an MBA degree, a full-fledged MBA degree. So it's up to you, depending upon your capacity, your learning capacity, the time that you have in hand, or your paying capacity. You can take either the postgraduate diploma in global financial market, or you can do the full MBA in global financial market. Either ways, both the qualifications are very good because they incorporate all the aspects that need to be covered if you want to be a global financial manager. And I think I need to reiterate that there is a dearth of global financial managers, not only in India but outside of India as well. So if you have this qualification, and if you have the necessary skills to become a global financial manager, then I can assure you, I can guarantee you that you will be in big demand, and your market value is obviously going to rise. So who can enroll for this course? So I think we have kept it pretty simple. So graduates with minimum 50% from a recognized university, and who has a flair for numbers, because obviously if you want to become a finance manager and if you are not comfortable with numbers, then I would not recommend this course for you. So you have to be happy in dealing with numbers, because obviously quantitative techniques is one subject that will be there. Financial management is one subject where your financial skills or your number handling skills will be tested. So I would recommend that if you are not happy with numbers, if you are not comfortable with numbers, then I would think twice before doing this course. Of course, those who are of SC/ST or backward class community, then, or persons with disability, then I guess the 50% cutoff will be looked at, and we might decide to be a bit liberal with these people as part of our corporate social responsibility. We would like to encourage those people from the categories which I have just mentioned. We would encourage them to also take this course, and for them the 50% cutoff will be reconsidered. But for general candidates, 50% I guess is the minimum, because if you have to be a global finance manager, then you should have a little bit of academic liking. Otherwise, maybe a global financial manager is not the career that you are looking at. Now, talking about careers, some of the sought after careers in the global financial market, if you complete this course, then you can look at role in corporate finance. You can look at a role as an investment banker, or you can look at a role as a venture capitalist, or you can look at a role as a financial planner, or as a fund manager, or a wealth manager, or investment analyst or research. So I guess what we are talking about is the entire gamut of investment banking and equity research area. So if you are either already in this field or you are planning to look at this field, then definitely this particular qualification is of your interest. And needless to say that the remuneration or the salary levels of these managers are perhaps the highest in the industry. They are in the really top bracket. Now a little bit of more discussion on the type of roles. So for example, after doing this course, if you want to become a professional trader, for example, then what is it that you will be required to do? So you would be required to execute client or employer order in a timely manner, then provide the firm and its sales force with timely information if you are going to be a trader, or maintain a fair and orderly market, trading stocks designated to them. So by and large, as a professional trader, you will be expected to have good knowledge about the equity market, provide timely information to your clients and execute their orders in a timely and efficient manner. So that is the role of a professional trader. If you want to become an investment analyst, so basically people, your clients or your employer will be totally dependent on you to provide information about a sector or a company or a few companies within that particular sector. So companies like Copalamba, companies like any investment research company would require your services, because they would need your expertise to find out about the sectors on which they want to invest. So obviously preparing research and recommending, giving recommendations, giving presentations, that will be part of your job profile. Then understand and summarize the various types of investments, that is also will be part of your job profile. You have to prepare, analyze and present portfolio statistics, preparation of reports. So those are some of the jobs that you would be asked to perform. So I think if you do the MBA with interest, then I am sure that you will be equipped to handle the role that an investment analyst needs to do. Then of course a portfolio manager, the role of a portfolio manager is to identify a client's investment objectives and constraints. That means you have to analyze the client's risk profile and you have to match the risk with the instruments or the investments. You have to match the investments with the risks. So you have to develop investment policies and strategies, implement those policies, measure and evaluate portfolio performance, balance the portfolio, make presentations to current and prospective clients. So that is the job of a portfolio manager in case you want to take up that role. So these were some of the roles, job specific roles where your expertise would be required, and those expertise would be covered in the course that I have just mentioned. So by and large, the MBA in Global Financial Market is a course which will equip you with the knowledge, skills and attitude and aptitude that is required by investment banks, commercial banks, wealth management companies, equity research companies, and then of course the niche equity research companies which do research in only one specific sector. So even those companies might be interested in you. And also, as I had mentioned before, the world is looking at India as the next growth story, and therefore a lot of companies, multinational companies are looking at coming to India to set up their base, and their first preference would be the local talent that is available here. And the local talent means that talent with the necessary qualifications, the necessary skills, the necessary attitude. So first preference will be given to them, and if they can't find the local talent, then probably they will import the talent. But the employees, they definitely are looking at, and therefore if you have to equip yourself for the future, equip yourself for a bright future ahead, then I guess there is you definitely must have a closer look at the MBA in global financial markets, which I spoke to you about, because let me reiterate that it is the age of specialization, it is the age of generalization is over. Nobody is would like to look at a person with only a generic MBA qualification. Everybody is looking at a specialist, and global financial market is very remunerative. It's very satisfying in terms of job roles and job content. There is no monotony in the job. Every day is a new day, and therefore I would strongly recommend for those with the attitude and aptitude to deal with numbers, with good analytical mind and with good flair for communication, should definitely look at this particular qualification, which Bombay Stock Exchange Institute and AMITY have joined hands to offer to their students. Now, I hope I have been able to sort of give you or at least clarify some of your doubts. If you need any further help with regard to these courses, either the MBA in Global Financial Market or the diploma course that I have alluded to, then please contact our academic help center at 1-800-102-3434. So I think that's about it from me for today. Have a good day. Thank you.